mentioned the same thing. We still haven't learned.
I don't know. I don't know if I have learned. Thank you. Thank you so much. I think that I like what you said about teaching, but I don't think nobody teaches anybody. You know what I mean? I think that as we speak and as we share, we all learn, you know? And then, usually, like I said before, when I come up here, I have nothing ready. I just kind of let it flow through me, whatever message that it comes. But especially tonight, I wasn't supposed to do I was supposed to speak tonight. It was supposed to be Natalia, correct? But she's not feeling well, and then he just approached me saying she's not feeling well, and I'm sure she would love to be here tonight, and let's send her good energy of healing and love, right? So well, I'm here, so you guys you're gonna be obligated to listen to me, to whatever I'm gonna say, which I don't know yet, but I know, isn't that scary, right? Who would say yes, I'll speak tonight, not knowing what to speak? That only me. I'm crazy. I'm like from a different world. Anyways, with all the craziness, every psychologist is crazy. We all crazy. Can you imagine a psychologist that is not crazy? I can't. Anyways, what are you guys looking for tonight? Tell me. What did you come here to receive? What were you looking for? Why did you decide to come to the spiritual center tonight? Mm-hmm. That's wonderful. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
You have a story about someone with that name, and always a good story. Because you know so many people in your profession, so many experiences.
Yes, I have, I've been writing this book. It's been 8 years of all the experiences, my clinical experiences with quantum healing, and I'm not done yet. I don't know if I'll ever be done, but I'm writing, or if I want to be done, or if I don't know. So I'm a lot of experiences. I have a lot, and sometimes I'm sharing with my patients or sharing here, and sometimes I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even remember that. Like, how am I remembering that story from that person? It just comes because of whatever I need to share, but I have some experiences that happened 8 years ago, 9, 10 years ago, and there are a few, like the one I shared last time. Was it last week or the week before? It was last week? It was last week. Oh my God, I was here last week. You guys are getting tired of my face, huh? But yeah, Victor, you remember, huh? That was awesome, wasn't it? I mean, it's been a while, and I still, like, I'll never forget. Never forget. But yeah, so let's continue sharing. What brings you here?
I guess I want to get some clarity and some things that I think I'm doing and I'm not sure if I should
Okay,
do.
so
like,
let me
making
ask you this
decisions.
question. Pay it. Let me ask you this. I forget the mic. Let me ask you this question, and I want you to be very honest, because I know you will be. But just pay attention to the question, so you can answer it fully. Okay? Right before, or not before, but when you were thinking about coming here tonight, what was it that you needed, that you said, I need this understanding, I need this? What was it that you wanted?
I guess it was, I guess try to live more the moment and don't worry too much about future, I guess.
Because you've been worrying about the future.
Yes.
What future? What future you've been worrying about? You've been worrying about the
Yeah,
future.
about some things that I want to do in my life, but I'm not sure.
So you kind of wanted an answer.
Yeah, kind of.
About some things you wanted to do in your life, and you're not sure if you should or not. Would that change your life completely?
I don't know.
But just making that decision, will that decision that you make, if you made a decision today, would that change your life completely?
I'm not. Well, I mean, it's complicated. It depends. I don't know.
Okay. Thanks for sharing. It's complicated, huh? Okay. Go ahead. What brings you here tonight?
Yeah. Well, I always used to learn something different that I don't know, and to try to elevate my vibration as well. And I would like to tell you, not the only craze you're here. I think everybody has a little bit. A little bit of. You know,
I know we all
something
crazy. I know, I'm
Yeah.
aware.
I would like to ask you if you had some experience with your clients or patients when some kind of situation they are on it and it's so strong, the feeling is the person's are feeling and is on the line of the life and the death. If the person don't do what's supposed to do, he think or she think is gonna die, you know, something very tragic is gonna happen, you know what I mean?
Okay.
If you already have some clients or, and you know, in this kind of situation, if you could share for us, you know, situation like that.
So let me just clarify if I understand. You're asking if I have any patients that are struggling, or that if I've had any patients that struggled with thoughts and feelings, negative thoughts, negative feelings, negative emotions, or behaviors where they wanted to die or take their lives, or felt threatened by any means or energies that were kind of maybe trying to make them do that, right? Is that what you're asking? Yes, I've had many. I've worked at kind of, you know, you could say the emergency room of a hospital, because when you work at addiction centers, that's exactly where you are working. You know, when a doctor is put in an emergency room when they start working, because you know they get all the experiences, good experience, really good doctors, the doctors that have worked at emergency rooms, because they've done everything. They've touched every type of issue. Yes, I've worked at emergency rooms, so yes, I have. Even at my practice today, I not very often, but a lot of the times there are people that walk in there wanting to take their lives. I can share an experience if that is what you would like me to do. I will share. That's a good idea. I like that. Thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. What brings you here? I'm going to share right after we finish here.
I come for my class because I like very much. I learn every week something new, and I enjoy a lot.
Wonderful. Beautiful. What brings you here, sir?
Every time I come here, I enjoy this expanded view, some more clarity, more perspective. It helps me to understand my own experiences and to incorporate in my life and practice as well. It's also helping people find themselves. It's my major passion. So every time I listen, I just become more seated opportunities.
What was your major passion, you said? You just
passion
said, yeah.
to help people to become themselves.
Oh, very nice. Interesting. Okay. Very good. I like that. How do you do that?
Through touch and work, like massage therapy, healing.
Oh, you do massage therapy. Oh. He does massage therapy, guys. And my husband, I already know what brings him here. Me. No, just kidding. I know what brings him here. And I'm very happy that he is here. He's not feeling too good today, and I'm very grateful for his life, and very happy that he's part of my life. And yes. So let's share an experience where there was a patient. I'm going to share, actually, thank you for bringing that up, because that is helping me process what I need to share with you guys. And I thought about sharing an experience, and then she said, oh, you shared an experience, and then you're like, oh, share. So that's what I'm going to do. I think we learn a lot, and honestly, I learn so much from my patients. Like sometimes I have patients that say, oh my God, thank you so much, you know, and they're so grateful. They're like, oh, you've changed my life. I learned so much from you, your session. And I'm not saying it because, you know, but I'm thinking, oh, you have no idea how much I'm learning from you, you know. And then when people ask me, do you do therapy? And I say, yes, all day. You know what I mean? Because, you know, you are a therapist, but you are also receiving. Because when there are two people, Jesus said that in the Bible, right? When there's two or more gathered, you know, and people twist that, and people take that so wrong in wrong ways because of religion. But what Jesus was saying is, there's two people sharing beautiful energies. They are healing one another. You know, it's beautiful. And I think that's why I love doing therapy. I love assisting people because, you know, we don't realize, but as we give, we receive. You know, and it's beautiful. Anyways, I had this patient. She came in 26 years old, about 6-7 years ago. The reason why I'm not talking about somebody that also came in trying to take their lives last week. In fact, I had to Baker Act somebody. Baker Act is when you send them to the hospital because of that. They were trying to take their lives. But just because, you know, I don't want to by accident say their names. It's unethical, and God forbid, you know. Anyways, this person, it was a long time ago, about 7, 8 years ago, maybe. That is irrelevant anyways. So she, 26-year-old girl, and she came in, she was going to FAU. and she was studying. It actually was her, and then it was her sister, both of them. But this girl studying at FAU, very smart, very smart. And she came in with her mom, and she was cutting, cutting. Not cutting deep, cutting very, surface, not deep. And usually, behaviors like cutting behaviors, suicidal ideation with cutting behaviors, not feeling love. There are different symptoms that we gather in order to diagnose borderline personality disorder. So borderline personality disorder is a disorder, not a mental disorder, is a personality disorder. It's usually happens between when you are forming your personality, which is from when you are in your mother's uterus until you're 8, 9, 10 years old. So usually in between this time in your life, if something traumatic happens, if you've had experiences where you were abused, mentally, emotionally abused, physically abused, it doesn't matter. If you were neglected, if you were hurt, if there was a lot of pain that was caused to you and trauma, there are other personality disorders that can be developed. But borderline personality disorder is one of them. And this girl, we diagnosed her with borderline personality disorder. And then, she came in with her mom, and her mother was desperate. And her mother didn't know what to do. And she said everything was fine, and she's in college, she's almost finishing, and now she's cutting herself. She wants to die. She doesn't want to be here, and I don't know what to do. And I said, well, what we need to do is have sessions. We're going to start sessions. So next session, she came by herself. And, of course, the first question I ask her is, have you ever been, when I ask, or any therapist asks, have you ever been traumatized? It's very hard for a person to say, yes, yeah, there was, because people don't understand to begin with what trauma is. Trauma could be something little that you never even think it was traumatic. But then in therapy, it starts coming up. But what I do is I use a method called EMDR. It's eye desensitization, movement, and reprocessing therapy. EMDR is a method that brings the memories from the hippocampus up to the frontal lobe, and the person is able to remember things that they never even thought happened to them. So when you do EMDR with people, even though they say, anything never happened to me, in the EMDR, they start remembering. So I told her, anything happened? She goes, no, I moved here when I was young girl, was about 7, 8 years old, myself, my sister, and my brother. I stayed in my country for a little bit with my dad, but then when I moved here, we left my dad because my mom had divorced him, but then I was here. I'm like, okay, and she's like, no. So she didn't remember. You don't just don't remember because you want to. You don't remember because your brain blocks trauma. It's the fight or flight response to trauma. It blocks. When the trauma was not processed between your emotional and rational brain, when the neuroconnectors on your emotional and rational brain, they're not communicating through a process called REM sleep, then trauma, what happens is the memory escapes the frontal lobe and the frontal lobe says, I don't want to deal with this. And it sends the memory to the hippocampus, and it stays there, stuck there for years. Anyways, we did the EMDR. We started EMDR, and she starts remembering. And the EMDR, just so you know, there are different ways to do. You can follow my finger, or you can tap with your eyes closed. And, well, it has to be it has to be done by a professional. It's not that simple. There's more to it. But as she was, I think, following my finger, this time we did different sessions. Some sessions she would tap. So the person, what happens is, the person goes into a very light trance. So as she was there, she goes, I'm under the bed. I'm about 5 years old. And I'm at my grandmother's house. And she's remembering everything. The hippocampus is releasing the memory. The memory is being, boom, shot to the frontal lobe. And the person is just saying whatever comes, right? Because she's... So I'm under the bed. And there's somebody under the bed with me. I think I'm hiding. And she says, my grandmother's opening the door. The room is dark, she says. She's opening the door. She's closing the door. I see light coming through. And my grandmother just walked in, and she didn't see anybody. She walked out. I think she was looking for me, she says. And then she says, but somebody's under the bed. Somebody's with me. And I go, well, stay there and continue to observe so you can, you know, understand and see who was there. And it took us a few times, a few sets. And then she said, it's my brother. My brother's under the bed. And she was 5, I think the brother, I don't know how old, 5, 6 years older. And he was removing her underwear. And that was the first, no, I think that was the first time she got raped. And from then on, remember, this girl she had completely blocked that memory, completely. And we did almost 2 years of EMDR sessions so she could process all the abuse, you know? And it was everywhere, all the time, from when she was 5 years old until she was 15. And what was causing the fear, the anxiety, the depression, the negative thoughts to not want to be here and kill herself was that abuse, those abuse that she went through. And she went through a lot. And we processed, she hated her brother then when she remembered everything, and she was able to access everything. And it was in one of these sessions, stay tuned now, this is very interesting what I'm going to say. In one of these sessions, we went there, she was in the bathroom with her brother, and she kept repeating that he said, don't tell mom, okay? Don't tell mom, this wasn't me. This wasn't me. And she was much older, she was about 13. And she went back there, and I said, look around in the bathroom, because she was observing herself there with him. That's how you start remembering everything. In the process of observation with no judgment, no judgment. So she was just observing and telling me what was happening. And she said, I see a spirit there. And the spirit is saying, I am purposely ruining your life and your family's life and his life. And I'll show you why. And then the spirit brought her back to a reality, a life where her father in, I think it was in the late 1800s, or I don't know, I don't know when. I think it was in the late 1800s. He owned a farm with slaves, a lot of slaves. And this guy was one of the slaves that he had killed. And this guy was one of the slaves he had killed. And then there was, you guys hear me? Okay. And then there was another instance where she also went back and she saw another spirit. And this spirit was a guy that in another life, he brought her back and he showed her her brother that was raping her in that life was going out with his sister. And his sister used to work at it wasn't strip club at that time, you know. They had curtains and they had beds, and the men would go, you know, back then, the men would, how you call them, bordel? I don't know how you say that in English. Mm, no, there was a specific name, right? Bordel. I don't know how to translate that to English, but that's what it was. And right? Do you guys know it? What the woman would wear lace, you know, underwear and the fan and the whole thing. That so he brought her back to that, where his sister was there laying in bed with him, with the brother that was raping her. And then they were there, and he said, watch when he leaves here. And the spirit had another spirit right next to him, and he said, watch when your brother leaves the bordel, I don't know. Watch when he, did I say it right? Yeah, now you know. Bordel. Watch when he leaves, I'm going to kill him, the spirit said. And then she watched, and as her brother was leaving the bordel, the brother was the one that killed him. And now he was chasing the family because he had promised that he would curse him and his whole family through generations to come. And that was how mad he was. So when he killed the brother, her brother killed him, right? He now started chasing him and never left him alone until this day. So the spirit, we went there and we spoke to the spirit, and we talked to him about love and forgiveness and how he was stuck, and how he had no idea that he was stuck, that we were in 2000 and something, and that happened. And then he understood that he was stuck and that he was only causing himself harm because he wasn't reincarnating, right? Because he was in this loop of hatred. He was in this loop of anger. So the spirit, we told the spirit about all the spirituality, the spirits of light that that were around them, that was around him, waiting for him to forgive and to love, so he could be helped and assisted, so he could finally, you know, reincarnate, go get treatment, and then reincarnate. And he did, and he went, and he left, and she saw everything, and she came back. And that was when we were in the final process of her EMDR sessions. And after that, we were working for about 6 more months, and she was finally able to forgive her brother. And that was beautiful too. I wasn't able to forgive him, but she was. Anyways, you know, after, and I'm like, how are you able to forgive him? But she goes, I forgive him. And then her sister was also molested by the brother, and I treated both of them. And then we did so much more than that. Then we went into regressions, you know, the quantum healing. We did regressions. We did various regressions because her sister was very obsessed with being a doctor. And since she was little, she wanted to be a doctor. It was beautiful. We resolved that problem too. It was beautiful. But both of them were molested by the brother. And that's why they were struggling with negative thoughts. One of them wanted to take her life. You know, it's trauma that was stuck. Not only trauma, but I tell people the worst trauma that we have is the trauma that we were not yet able to identify. It's not what bothers us the most, is not what we know happened, is what we don't know, because we bring energies from these places. This life, other lives, we bring energies within our spiritual, our energy field. So we bring energies with us, and they're stuck. And in these regressions that we do, we remove the energies. The person is able to identify the energy with the emotions that they are bringing with the energies, and we are able to remove, they are able to see them being removed, and then they no longer struggle with whatever it was that they were struggling, that those energies were causing chemical imbalance. I don't know if you guys know about that, but energies causes chemical imbalance. That's why people have to take medication. That's why. Everything starts with energy, right? It's the energy, and a lot of the times people think that you can remove energies being in the space as rational as we are, and we can't. The reason why is because we are judging. And the only way to remove certain energies is without judgment, with love and no judgment. And anytime that we are rationalizing, judging, the energy doesn't go, even if you want to. It's not about wanting to, it's accessing. We need to learn on how to access and remove. It's different than wanting and remove. It's accessing with no judgment. And we judge a lot, and that is the problem. That is our problem. We judge. We judge ourselves, and that's where the whole problem starts. It's because we judge ourselves too much, and then we judge people too much. And little we know that, we are just seeing in people exactly what we fear the most, and that's why we judge. People judge because of their incapacity to understand that the person that is holding the problem is themselves, not the other person. That's why we judge. So if we could understand that, everything would change. A lot would change, at least. Any questions? I'm done.
So her brother was being influenced by the spirit. That's why he said, it's not me, don't tell mom.
It wasn't me, don't tell mom. I didn't do that purpose. It wasn't me, he said. And when he said that, she saw the spirit, and she saw the other spirit, and yeah.
All this obsession, the guy was...
What we call doesn't matter.
No, but
What
you
we
treat
call
as...
Irrelevant.
You treat as obsession, or you bother...
What do you mean obsession? I mean, listen. I understand what you're saying. What we have this thing to wanting to name things accordingly to the religion that we follow. That is wrong, right? These people are not even, they never even been to spiritual centers. They don't know. We think that because we come to a spiritual center, we know everything. We just name, but it doesn't matter. It's for them. It's not. I don't know. I don't even know why people name that obsession. It's just. We all carry energies. This is not our first life. We've been here many times, and we've all done horrible things. I've killed hundreds and thousands of people because of I'm sure. We all done really bad things, Nobody here is like, oh, I'm a saint. Nobody's a saint. And we are not who we are. We think we know who we are. We don't know who we are. Exactly because we refuse to look within to access the truth of who we are. And we put this mask, and we think that this mask is going to reflect the truth of who we are. And the mask doesn't reflect that. And we are not who we think we are. We are everything that we were, and we are everything that we will be. And therefore, we are perfect. There's nothing to judge within that.
Spirit and the girl. And that in that case, right?
Of course. We treat both. Yes. It's not obsession because, look, I don't like to call it, but I understand what you said. And in your line of thought, you can say that. But what I think is we are all spirits. We are all enlightened beings. And yes, I cannot say that just because I lived more lives and experienced different things than you, that I'm better than you. Do you see? If you call that obsession, you are minimizing that spirit, his value in the spiritual world or in this world. Do you see? It's not only because he was stuck there that you are better than him. Do you see? And if you say that the person was obsessed, you are saying that almost you're calling that spirit a demon. You see? And there's no demon. There's no demon. Demons don't exist. It's just a spirit that is suffering. Just because your friend is suffering more than you and no less than you, you're not going to say, oh, she's around me, I'm obsessed. It's an obsession, you know. Sometimes we do feel that way, right? When we have people that are bringing our energies and frequencies down, we're like, oh my God, I'm obsessed. But we can't see it that way because we got to love everybody, right? We love that spirit. And if you do speak, if we do learn on how to speak and how to talk to people with respect and love, and when I say people, it's these spirits too that are struggling. And look at them eye to eye and don't judge them because of where they are. They're going to feel your love. And they're going to accept your help when you're offering help. No. You have a friend that is struggling next to you.
Okay.
I'm not being influenced by my friend. I know who I am.
All right, okay, guys.
I know the love and the energy that I carry. And I'm not going to allow my friend, because she's jumping in the hole, I'm going to jump behind her. No, I'm going to bring her up, right? I'm going to teach her my way instead of following her. Do you see? It's the same thing. There's no difference because we are all the same. No matter if incarnated or disincarnated, we are all the same. Not just because a person is suffering, right? That we're gonna kill them even more, you know, step all over them. We gotta bring them up. It's something that we don't know how to do yet, you know. So many homeless, so many people struggling, and we look and we say, "Oh, poor thing."
Give this explanation, this categorizing, it's also kind of judgment. If you say you are sick, so you are punishing people for being sick. This is psychologically report. It's also sickness. You not judge people who are sick.
Exactly.
You try to support them, give them loving attention. Exactly. Everyone who is not feeling good, they hurt themselves, hurt others, and result of it. So if you look at the society as opportunity to help people who are not feeling good about themselves, so we definitely contribute to make the situation better.
Exactly.
Thank you for this.
You're welcome. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you, Rose. I like your questions because it helps with, you know, clarifying so much. Anybody else with questions? No? No? Okay. Thank you guys for coming. Let's do the final prayer, and then we're going to have passes.
Yeah. Thank you, Roberta, for sharing the stories. Hopefully we learn and take something. It's funny that, you know, every morning I listen to some